With fans now waiting at the edge of their seats to hear what's next for this next man, he returns to the show to bring a much-needed dose of chaos into our lives. Former UFC interim champion, #1 ranked welterweight in the world and the UFC, Colby Covington. Welcome back to Submission Radio, man.
And you're eating ribs. What's going on here?
Yeah, I just got finished with my St. Louis, Tyquil style ribs. Now I'm working on these Miami fragile street Judas fall off the bone type ribs, finger licking good.
So who are these ones for? These are for Jorge Masvidal?
Yeah, I'm the rib collector. I took my son Tyron Woodley's ribs, and I called it here on Submission Radio about the fragile dude street Judas Masvidal, his ribs. So what better way than to enjoy some delicious Miami fall off the bone, cheat on your wife, cheat on your taxes type ribs to get the show started at Submission Radio.
Look at that. I've got to ask, man, since we're talking about it, what is the latest on this fight with Jorge Masvidal? Last time you were on, you were discussing how that's the fight to do next. Has the UFC been in contact? Has his team been in contact? What's the latest news on the fight?
Yeah, boys, Colby Covington Incorporated is open to do business, and I want to do the best business for the UFC and whatever they want me to do. So I talked to Hunter a week or two ago. We had a short little talk, and I think we were going to catch up in the beginning of the new year or when things kind of cleared up after this fight in December. So I think we know what the fans want. I know what fight I want. It's a personal fight that needs to happen, especially with the way the guy talked reckless in the media about me, said this, said that, said all these things, tries to claim to be some badass street fighter from Miami. So, I'd love for that fight makes sense. It does good business for the UFC, but the thing is I can't force it, and it's really not up to me. If it doesn't happen, it will be because, street Judas, the fragile guy, Jorge Masvidal dick tucked and ran away and hid in the corner like a little bitch.
So when you spoke to Hunter, did he give you any sort of idea of who they're looking at for you? Obviously, you guys will meet, in a few weeks in the new year, or maybe a month away. But did they say, look, Jorge's the guy that we're targeting for you?
No, he didn't say that. He was really just checking up, just seeing how I was feeling. I said, I'm feeling good. Foot's getting better. It's almost all healed up. I let him know. I passed on what I thought. It made sense. George Street Judas, Masvidal, the guy has a hurt rib right now. I called it here on Submission Radio. I got insider information. So I it was amazing to drop that breaking news here at Submission Radio. But I had a hurt foot. I'm healing up. He's healing up. It just makes sense to do in the first quarter of next year. And I think that's the fight they're targeting. But he didn't come out and tell me that's completely the fight they're targeting. There's a lot of options out there. You never know. Colby Covington's Incorporated is open for business, and whoever the UFC brings to me, I'm going to deliver the fans and the people a good show.
We noticed a couple of weeks ago when you were talking to Mike Heck at MMA Fighting, you said maybe the door is possibly open for a fight with Khamzat Chimaev. I know that when we spoke to you a few weeks ago, that wasn't really an option in your mind. I'm just wondering, what kind of changed since our last chat? What made you want to sort of consider him if the UFC approached you with him?
Can you guys believe that his mom named him Cumshot? That's like so disrespectful. Like, as a mother, like, you're naming your kid Cumshot. Like, he's going to get trolled and picked on for that for the rest of his life. So, I feel terrible that, he has a mother that would do something like that and name him such a horrendous first name. So, but there's a lot of options out there. You look at, this bully that fought last night, Dustin Poirier, Louisiana swamp trash. He said a lot of things too in the media. And now he's saying that he might come up to 170. He wants to come fight in a real man's weight class. So this is another personal fight. These are different type of fights, man. This isn't about the rankings. This is about personal grudges and being held accountable for your actions. He said it's on site when I see you in the media. It's this and that. He's talking this big game like, he's a street fighter. He's some badass fighter. So, stop cutting all that weight, Dustin. Come up to the real man's weight class, welterweight, and let's do this, man. You talk too much shit. You could bring your little Jezebel of a wife, bring that little prop you use as a kid, bring the whole Louisiana swamp trash family, and let's do this, man. Stop cutting all that weight. Stop being a bully.
Yeah, we definitely want to get your thoughts on his fight as well. But before we do, just while we're on Chimaev, Charles Sonnen was on our show last week, a couple of days ago, and he warned Khamzat to stay the hell away from you. Do you think, did you see those comments? And what do you think a Colby Covington Khamzat Chimaev fight would actually look like?
Oh, I don't know. Honestly, I don't think they can sanction that fight legally yet. I think that there's such a discrepancy in the rankings. I mean, the guy hasn't even beat anybody in the top 10 yet. I mean, I've been in the top 10 for 5 years now, beating, champion after champion. So, I don't even know if a commission would allow this fight to go through, but this fight, the only way it would look would just be complete domination. Colby Covington Incorporated just going out there and ending all that hype. That same type of hype that all the clickbait journalists, all the MMA media out there put on Street Judas Masvidal. That same hype. They hype him up. They can't stop talking about him. Everything's about this kid, this hype. And then boom, it gets halted. So it would get halted in a very violent way. And you don't want to hurt a kid's career before he even gets started, So, I mean, you send him up here, he's never going to be the same person again.
As somebody with obviously impeccable wrestling in yourself, I'm curious, what did you think of him and Jack Hermansson in the grappling competition or the wrestling match? Were you impressed at all?
Who?
Jack Hermansson. Khamzat Chimaev and Jack Hermansson.
Who's that?
UFC middleweight.
UFC middleweight. Jackie Hermansson, Hermes Franca?
Not quite Hermes Franca. Maybe you didn't see it. Maybe you didn't see the wrestling match.
Nah, I definitely didn't see that. I mean,
he did go on social media and he said that he said for you to call the cops because he's coming for you. I don't know if you would have seen that on social media, but what did you think if you did see that?
Talk is cheap. Everybody's running their mouth these days, but I don't see anybody actually doing something about it. So, he can say all these things and try and hype himself up and build himself up. But this is the same kid that was ready to retire, ready to quit and call it in off the common cold, guys. The common cold is a 99.9% survival rate. You take some ivermectin, just like, Dr. Joe Rogan said, and you'll be good in a day or two. The common cold. This kid was ready to give it up. He was crying. He was retired. He was done. Off the common cold. So, I don't make much of what the guy said. The rat lip is disgusting. I mean, man, I feel bad that you have to walk and just live like that with that type of, fuck, dude. I feel so bad. Like, he must get so many dirty looks. And I guarantee not one girl looks twice at him. I mean, the guy rat lip, I mean, So...
Man, I'd still love to see you guys mix it up in a fight. I think the wrestling exchanges would just be fascinating. Speaking of girls, though, I was actually at a Bucks weekend this past weekend, and before we're going out, some of the boys wanted to watch Premier League, and here in Australia, you can't watch all the games, so thanks to our good friends at NordVPN, we had access to content from over 59 countries by changing our virtual location with just one click. And happy to say, look, I'm not a big soccer fan, but all the boys got to watch Premier League and other games as well. So you can stream, any sport you want all over the world and have access to all sorts of games that, maybe your subscription doesn't cover with your, streaming services. Same for, movies and, any other streaming services. And also you got the fights this coming weekend. You've got Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley number 2 on fight.tv. And while it's easy to access, maybe you're traveling. Maybe you're somewhere, in a country where there's some kind of geo-blocking problems. With NordVPN, you can watch anything whenever you want. Amazing speed thanks to NordLynx. You got no more bandwidth throttling. I know people in the comments the other week were saying, hey, there's a lot of free VPNs out there. Why not use a free one? Believe us, we used to use the free ones as well, but you got all these issues. There's limits on data, limits on bandwidth, and, for the price of a cup of coffee a month, why not get everything, stress-free? You don't have to look for, all these silly free ones. You get connect with one click, no more buffering, amazing speed, and you stream securely. What's not to love? Isn't that right, Dennis?
That's right, man. And I mean, one of the key things as well is with the free ones, security. Like, what are you giving up for that free VPN? Is it your credit card number? Is it your address? You just never know what's going to happen. Do it securely and easily. Christmas shopping is happening right now. Secure the best prices. Because of geo-blocking, sometimes you have to pay more. All sorts of benefits thanks to Nord. You guys can grab NordVPN's holiday season deal right now. Go to nordvpn.com/submission or use code submission. Get up to 70% off your NordVPN plan, plus a free month access all the sports you want. Check everything out. Maybe you pre-purchased Woodley, Paul, and now you're traveling and you don't want to waste that money. You've already spent that money. Make sure to watch the sports, the subscriptions, everything that you signed up to, no matter where you are in the world, thanks to Nord.
And all sorts of the international Christmas movies. Let's not forget about that. But just going back to you, Colby, you said that you wanted to do big business with the UFC and obviously for yourself. It looks like you got a lot of great options. I'm curious, though, between, say, Khamzat Chimaev, Jorge Masvidal, and Dustin Poirier, who does the biggest business for you? Because there's no shortage on rivalries for you.
Yeah, I mean, Khamzat doesn't really compare to those other rivalries just because of the history, the animosity and just the real beef, the real freaking deep down hatred for each other, just want to kill each other. Like this ain't a game, man. This is real life, and this is different, because we used to train together. We used to be pretty close friends, I was at one point best friends with Jorge Masvidal. We lived together. We were good friends. He was in my corner. I was in his corner. And then he turned his back on me, just like a Judas would, He let the fame get to him, his 10 seconds of fame, came and he turned his back on everybody, all his family, his mother, some of his cousins, his wife, his kids. Doesn't even fucking talk to his kids anymore. The guy's a complete fucking dirtbag. So it's just such a different rivalry with him. And even, Dustin Doofus Poirier, he's another guy, used to train together. And then he turned his back on me too, man. Said he didn't want to train with me, started talking shit about me in the media, this and that. And, then I gave an honest opinion, the guy can't stop a nosebleed. How's he going to stop a takedown? And that's the honest truth. I mean, look at him. I got everybody rich last night at my bookie because, I put my money on that Mr. Ed looking Brazilian jabroni, Charles Oliveira, and he was able to get us done. And we made our bank accounts great again. So, now can you guys imagine what Vegas must have been like last night when Dustin lost? Oh my God, there must have been an overflow of Kleenex that had to come because he guaranteed was crying a river. I mean, I feel bad. I don't know if they have Kleenex left. I mean, and they're going to need some because their football team, the Oakland Raiders, is trash. I mean, they're just complete losers. So I mean, it makes sense that Dustin was there in Las Vegas, with the Raiders. They're all losers.
The guy that bet the $300,000, I believe, on Amanda Nunes, man, that's a rough night for that guy. By the way, last time Dustin Poirier fought Colby, you released some sparring footage. I was wondering, were you tempted at all to put something else out during this past fight week leading into this title shot that he had with Oliveira?
I was tempted, but then I was like, you know what? I got better things to do right now than worry about some little lightweight scrub who, can't hold my wet jock strap. So, I realized that my life was a lot better here in Miami, hanging out with my mamacitas and just enjoying life and not even worrying about fighting or some, amateur level lightweight fighter that's fighting. So, it didn't matter to me. I don't pay attention to anything he does.
So you've got stuff in the bank. You got some stuff in the bank for the future.
I might. You guys know me, man. I'm chaos. I'm unpredictable. Just when you think I don't got something, boom, I come out of left field and here I am. So, my nickname precedes myself. Chaos, unpredictable. I'm telling you right now, 2022 is going to be crazy, boys. And I'm just so glad that you guys can be along for the ride with me.
Oh, 100%. We want to see what's next. Just quickly, just on Dustin Poirier, I know obviously you got rich with my bookie AG with the code submission. Colby, code Colby. But what did you think of hey, you told Kamaru Usman in a room full arena? Everybody knows the code is Colby by now. But what did you think of the actual fight, the way that it played out? What do you sort of attribute Charles's win to?
Just the quitter mentality of Dustin. You know, he's always been like that. Doesn't like to work hard. You know, living off, you know, beating Conor McGregor. What's the big deal about beating Conor McGregor anymore these days? I mean, he has a great legacy. He did some great things in the past. The guy, you know, he made a lot of money. He doesn't have that same drive anymore. So, you know, beating a guy like that is not going to mean you're going to be some world beater and the best in the world. So, you know, that's what I saw. I figured he's going to gas out and, he was going to eventually quit. And that's what he did. He, just like in the Khabib fight, he quits, he puts his head on the mat and he leaves his neck open so he can get rear naked chokes. So wasn't surprised. You know, I told everybody, you know, betting, you know, go to my bookie. And of course, you know, you can use my submission radio code, or you can use the Colby. You know, I'm not selfish. I'm selfless. So it's a two-way street with my boys over at Submission Radio. It's not a one-way street. But I told y'all, Charles Oliveira, he's going to look like a D1 All-American wrestler and take down Dustin and beat him. So, you know, that's exactly what I predicted, and that's what happened.
When Chael Sonnen was on the show again last week, he mentioned that if Charles Oliveira puts Dustin away in dominant fashion, it can kind of look bad for Khabib's legacy, because obviously Khabib retired without fighting Charles. Do you agree? Do you think this win has any effect on Khabib's legacy? Does it bring up any questions at all? What's your take on his thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, it definitely kind of delegitimizes his legacy. I mean, he never really fought a high level wrestler that could challenge him, or that was good, you know, on both areas of striking and wrestling and submissions and defensive wrestling. So, you know, there's always been those doubts about Khabib's legacy, you know, that, you know, he had an interesting route, and, you know, he took some time off in between his career, and he got good matchups, you know, people that didn't know how to wrestle. And I mean, even a lot of people thought that he lost to a guy he used to train with all the time, Gleason Tebow. He won a split decision over him, but a lot of people thought he lost that fight. So, yeah, I definitely think that kind of, you know, puts a damper into Khabib's legacy, you know, because that guy's going out there and getting submitted just like you did to him, the same exact way. So how would that matchup go with him and the Brazilian?
I'd love to see it, man. Just as a fan, Khabib coming back. He's not going to. I don't think Charles is kind of the guy to bring him out. But I'd love to see how that fight will play out with Charles's, you know, jiu-jitsu and just being an overall package, and then obviously Khabib being Khabib. While you're making people rich with mybookie.ag, obviously last night, what did you think, or what are you expecting this coming weekend from your good friend Tyron Woodley, and then of course Jake Paul? How do you see this one potentially playing out?
Yeah, boys, the thing about that, you know, is Snake Paul knows that, you know, I didn't sign off on my son Tyron Woodley to go out there and fight. But, you know, he went out there and, you know, he should have won that first fight, but obviously he was paid off to not finish Jake Paul. So, you know, I'm not signing off on the second fight, Jake Paul, to let my son Tyron Woodley to come back. No one cares about it. The fight's on a week's notice, you know, because Tyson Fury pulled out or whatever, that little boxer over in the UK or whatever. So the real fight, guys, the real fight that everybody wants to see is Jake Paul versus his lisp. They want to see if he can say all the words that start with S, because he's lispy McGuire. If you guys have ever heard him talk, he has a serious lisp. So I think the real fight for Jake Paul is a fight to see how many words he can say that start with S.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Can't wait for next year, dude. I want this chat to go with Hunter Campbell. I want everything to go well. And, of course, feel free to remind him how many pay-per-view buys UFC 268 did when you guys are negotiating for this Jorge Masvidal fight. For now, make sure to follow the man at Colby Cov MMA on Instagram and Twitter. He is powered by Bang Energy. You guys can save 10% off right now with the code word Colby10 at bangenergy.com. Colby Covington, have a great Christmas, man. I imagine there are some big things on the books for one Chaos Covington coming in the next few weeks over there in Miami.
Happy holidays, my brother. God bless you guys. You know, have a great holiday season. Lots of love, abundance of success, and And 2022, this new year coming, boys, I can't wait to celebrate in style with you. We're going big 2022. It's going to be the best year yet.
Looking forward to it, man. Have fun with the Mamacitas. Thanks, Colby.